some noise for our Straight Talk hosts, Kevin and Kristie.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Straight Talk.
Yes, welcome. We're happy to see each and every one of you out here in the audience, and we're happy to have you watching.
Yes, and hey, honey, are you a little bit extra joyful right about now?
Actually, you know that this is my favorite time of year. Autumn, fall, it's my favorite time.
It is. I know it is.
I just love so many things about it, and one of the things I love is how there's so many. No, spring's pretty, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of beautiful colors that come out in spring.
The flowers and all of that.
And it's gorgeous. But fall brings those nice warm hues, the yellows, the browns, the greens change a little bit. It's just absolutely gorgeous. The scenery, like when you're driving down one of those old streets with the old trees that almost cover
So you like the
street.
change of the colors.
It's so gorgeous.
The fall colors. Like when we're driving down like the road during fall, I love how the trees kind of come over and they've all
like
turned
commercial.
orange and yellow and brown. It's interesting because like during the spring and everything, it's all green. But in the fall, they turn yellow, orange, brown, like all different kinds of
some
colors.
reds come out. It's just absolutely
It's
pretty.
cool.
Yeah, and another thing I love is the fall clothing. I love boot weather. Boots are like, Kay Dizzle's over there shaking her head. I love boots and scarves and just all the fun stuff that comes out with fall clothing.
I honestly don't understand that because are we supposed to like match our clothes to the season? Like, I'm still struggling to match my shoes to my shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, how am I supposed to match?
I know. Kevin lives with 3 women, and so if he steps out in the wrong colors together,
I don't care.
he has to go right back to his room.
I don't care. Actually, I don't care.
Yes. I also love all of the scents that come out, the flavors and the scents, like there's a pumpkin spice latte.
Right.
You get all of those different flavors and the candles. The pumpkin spice, the spice, the apple spice candles that come out, just the fall leaves
all
color,
the scents.
Sweater weather scent. Oh, it's absolutely amazing.
But you know, I don't understand, like when you go to a Starbucks or any coffee shop for that matter, they always have those seasonal drinks, right? I don't understand that because if you're so in love with that pumpkin spice, why don't they just serve it all year? Why does it have to go away?
They don't have space back there for all of those.
That can't be the answer. Like, listen to all you coffee shop owners. If we love pumpkin spice so much, then serve it all year. Like, anyway, it's the fall. It's a fall flavor. Like, I want it in spring.
Yeah, says he who doesn't work in a tiny little coffee stand where they're trying to already shove everything in there.
My daughters do. There's a couple flavors I can say get rid of because I want pumpkin spice. But anyway.
Oh, man. Okay, and then this is my last favorite thing about fall. Okay. Football season starts.
There you go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking
I love
football
season. Now we have a lot of friendly competition in our home because we're not all Seahawks fans. The majority of them are, but I'm a Cowboys fan. So when it comes to like preseason play and the Cowboys actually beat the Seahawks,
come on.
Things come alive in my house when that happens.
And did you have to show that slide? Did you have to show that slide? By the way, just so everybody knows, and I'm sure y'all know, you're with me on this. That's preseason. That's preseason.
But you and Randy have a lot to say about preseason.
Hey, I love football too. I love the fall. And you can show that all you want. But here's the true facts, all right? And y'all can back me up on this.
Yeah, show me the facts.
I will show you the facts. Well, I can't show it to you, but I will tell you. Seahawks are number 1 in their division right now. First place. All alone,
played 1-0.
1-0, the undefeated, baby, undefeated.
Wow.
Unlike the Dallas Cowboys, who are in last place in their division and the only one without a win. So they're 0-1.
I would also like to point out,
I'm just saying,
last year we started this season with absolutely no wins for, I think, 4 games.
I'm just saying.
And I think we went to the playoffs, but the Seahawks were already out before December hit.
Whatever.
Like, they were already, licking their wounds by December.
Hey, that's enough of that nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome our professional mixmaster DJ, Kay Dizzle. What up, Kay Dizzle?
I'm a professional now.
You're a professional now.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right. But hey, I got a question for you. I got a question for my daughter. Cowboys or Seahawks?
You know, Mom, I love you so much.
Let's go!
But I will never cheer for the Dallas Cowboys.
That's okay.
There are
Seahawks,
other
baby.
teams
That's
first.
okay.
There are
I'm
other
okay with
teams
that.
first.
I mean, I noticed you guys lost like a lot of your players last year. Even like your number one ranking quarterback said, "I'm out."
Listen, we still won.
We still won. We're
won.
still undefeated.
Geno Smith showed up.
He did.
showed up.
He did. He showed up. Geno Smith showed up.
Actually,
He
I
did.
was very proud of how he played at
I
that game
was too.
against
I
Russell
was
Wilson.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, we played
He
against
was
Russell
in
Wilson.
Russell Wilson's own home, and he said, "This is my home now."
That's right. This is my home now.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
See, I told you, a lot of friendly competition in our Oh my goodness. Well, we better get moving on. Get moving on with the show. Yeah. You've always been a daddy's girl.
She is a daddy's girl. That's right.
I have
You're
a
right.
feeling that if he rooted for the Chargers, she would be a Chargers fan.
No, she's
Yeah,
Seahawks.
no, okay, but if
He
the
used to
Seahawks
root for
aren't
the
playing, I'm
Chargers.
rooting for the Chargers because let's go Justin Herbert.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Well, folks, we have a great show for you today.
Yes, we do.
We've got Dwayne Hilty in the house with us.
Yeah.
From the Foundation. And we're going to continue our discussion called Shipwrecked.
Yep.
And Dwayne will be joining us out. So don't go away. We'll be right back after the Such a good. Kevin lost again. All right, it's Ken.
When I'm listening to a customer, my number one priority is to listen.
In every moment that I'm with this customer or this client, am I doing everything that I can to look out for their best interest at the end of the day?
Just make sure they have plenty of options and they're happy with the choice that they make. It doesn't matter what we want, everything that they want is what we want to make happen.
At the end of the day, we do a walkthrough, communicate with the customer, make sure they're completely happy with what they've spent their hard-earned money for.
Welcome back to the show. Well, today we have a brand new game on our fun segment for you. And we've got Kevin up here as a contestant, and we have our guest, Dwayne Hilty from
Dwayne
the
Hilty.
Foundation. Woohoo! They're going to be playing the game today, and it's a brand new one, Kevin.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you excited?
I am.
All right, this is called the Tortilla Challenge.
The tortilla challenge.
Tortilla challenge.
Hey, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
I've seen this trend all over social media, and I want to challenge my daughter, Kay Dizzle. I want her
Kay
here. I want
Dizzle.
to slap her with the tortilla.
The challenge
I
is
think
up. He wants to slap
I'm
you
bringing
with
you
a
down.
tortilla.
Come on, Kay Dizzle.
Yeah, let's
choice.
give her a
Give
hand. Here she comes.
Okay, you going down.
Oh, challenge accepted by Kay Dizzle.
Come on.
All
All
right.
right, so what do we do?
So here's how the game is played. Each one of you is going to fill your mouth with water.
Oh.
Then I'm going to hand each one of you a tortilla. And you are going to take turns slapping each other with the tortilla. And the point of the game is to make sure you keep the water in your mouth. So try not to laugh and spit your water out. So, all right.
Got this. I
You got this?
Yep.
You got this?
Okay.
All right.
This was gonna be a challenge.
And,
Let's
and
go.
another key point to make is make sure you hit them with the tortilla so your fist isn't getting in.
Okay.
Okay, let's not knock anybody out on this show.
So do we start with the water?
Hold on. All right, and then you can just send your water right behind you. He's already laughing. Let's go. lose their water?
Who was the last?
Kaylani?
Who was the first
Kaylani?
one to lose their water?
I think that was
Okay,
me.
I'm pretty sure the whole backside of Kaylani is wet because Dad gave her a shower with his water.
You looked at me.
Wayne at least tried to point it out.
I got some projectile
Let's go
going.
again.
Let's go. Round
Okay.
two.
Oh my God.
Round
Okay.
two.
Water?
Round
two.
two. Here we go.
Oh.
Round two.
Kevin and Kaylani. Here we go.
Dad, why did you have to look at
I
me?
don't think I've kept my mouth shut this long forever.
Okay, here we go. All right, we're gonna start with the youngest this time. So that would be Kaylani. Kaylani, pick your. It's Dwayne.
Come on.
Kaylani.
Come on! There wasn't even a slap involved.
idea, right
That
there.
wasn't even.
Right there.
Round three. Let's go. Round three. Let's
Okay,
go.
round
Go for it,
three.
go for it.
That's Dwayne.
Okay.
I don't care.
Who won the last one? Dwayne. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
So, Dwayne won the last one.
Yep.
Annie won this one.
Oh, I got 2 wins
No, wait.
already.
Oh, Kaylani won the first
No,
one.
right.
So,
I gotta be
yeah,
honest.
Kaylani and Dwayne. So, Kevin, you gonna win this time? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna stand well out of the way. Let's go! Let's go! Oh man. Did you get? Kevin lost again. All right, it's Kaylani and Dwayne. Here we go.
It's over. It's over.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
That was good. Good.
goodness. Holy moly.
I think was Dwayne the winner again?
I
Oh my
think so.
gosh.
Yeah, Kay
Oh my
started
gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Hey,
The
hey.
winner, our guest, Dwayne
All right,
Hilty.
Dwayne the winner. He did good. I couldn't even look at my daughter.
I feel like this gave me a little advantage. This right here.
I thought we should do a speed round.
Speed round. Okay, one more round.
Oh, okay.
Speed round.
Speed round.
So
like,
what does that mean though,
Speed
Kaylani?
round.
Like 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
1, 2, 3.
okay,
Okay.
wait, I got a new
No
rule.
buildup.
I got a new rule. Here's how it goes. We're gonna start with Kevin this time. Because
Okay.
you started last time.
Okay.
We'll start with Kevin this time. And you don't have to go in order. You can slap whoever you want.
Okay.
Oh, like a free for all.
So when it's your turn,
free
when it's
for
your
all.
turn, you can slap Dwayne or Dad, okay? When it's Dad's
free
turn,
for
you can
all.
slap you
Yeah.
or
Are we
Dwayne.
even
All right.
taking turns now, or are we just going for it?
Go for it.
Oh, I like it.
Ready?
What?
Here we go.
What?
Oh, water. Let's get some water.
Okay, last
Oh,
round.
yeah, okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Step on up there. Go!
All right.
Man.
All right.
Okay, Lonnie.
Oh my gosh.
He said 2 tortillas.
He took 2 tortillas.
Dwayne with
He's a
the
cheater.
hidden-
Cheated a little bit.
He cheated a little bit. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a lot of
Oh, my
fun.
goodness.
I'm a little bit wet. Kristie was right. We were gonna get wet. Dwayne,
That was a lot
you
of fun.
cheated, but it was a lot of fun.
Happy to
Hey, listen, when we come back, we've got Pastor Edmar. No, we don't have Pastor Edmar. We've got Dwayne with us. We've got Dwayne with us right after this break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And now you're at West also.
Yeah, and partly as the age of my kids have, like, they're getting older, right? Like I have more high schoolers and one middle schooler. And so, so you just kind of start finding these little pockets to be involved in. But it's been fun. It's just a lot of fun.
What a cool thing. Hey, what's up, everybody? Pastor Kevin here from Connection Life Church in downtown Salem, Oregon. And it's kind of a cloudy, foggy day, a little bit chilly, but it's a nice day. And it's time to get into the Word. So let's do it. It's time for your 60-second Devos. All right, you guys, today in Jeremiah 29:13, it just simply says that when you wholeheartedly look for me, that is, looking for the Lord, you will find me. And I just wonder how many of us have acted like we don't hear from God, we don't get answers, we don't see Him, He's not there, we feel alone, we feel abandoned, when in all actuality, we haven't actually looked with our whole heart. We've actually been looking with our selfish heart. We've been looking in areas that we want to find Him. We've been looking for answers that we want Him to provide. We've been listening for answers that we want to hear. And the reality is we have to look wholeheartedly. That means an open heart. We need to look with all of our heart, knowing that sometimes the answer is not always what we want to see or what we want to hear, but it is from Him. So when you search with Him with your whole heart, you will find Him. That's in the Word. So let's live by that today, all right? Hey, this has been your 60-second Devos. Hey, why not push that button and share this with somebody else? It only takes a minute or two to watch it, but it just might change their life forever. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow. Welcome back to the show, everybody. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, man. But today's guest, our first guest, is a great friend of mine who's made a serious impact on the community. He started and pastored missional community church called Soma. He was a lightning rod at Salem Leadership Foundation. Now he serves as the director of the CAN Centers. He was co-chair of Edgewater Partners, board member of the West Salem Urban Redevelopment Advisory Board. He served as president-elect as the West Salem Rotary Club and the director of the West Salem Youth Basketball Program. My goodness, what has this man not done? Please put your hands together for my friend, Mr. Dwayne Hilty. Hey! That was a long one.
Oh, it was good.
Come on, man. Have a
My
seat
face
right
is
here.
still a little sore from those
Telling you,
tortillas,
bro.
so.
Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah.
We're so glad to have you. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, love it.
It's been a lot of fun. You have an impressive resume.
Like all that was a list.
I am so,
Or I
like,
can't
that's
sit still.
amazing. What's so amazing about that to me is a lot of it involves the community.
Yeah.
So you have done so much in the community and around the city, both in West Salem and downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, all around this area. And what made you decide to get involved so heavily with the community in this area?
I'm partially joking, but like I can't sit still. Like, my kids are like, man, Dad, you just slow down. And so, no, I probably get bored easily. I love to start things.
Yeah.
It's funny, that question, it made me think, I grew up in a small little town from Amity, Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
Just not very far from here. And it's a small town. Everybody knows everything.
Yeah.
And I was a good kid, but got really involved in things. And I learned how to grab 2 tortillas, right? I mean, you learn how to do it. There's a lot of mischief in a small town.
I learned how to get creative.
Oh, yeah. But even from the time, like, I remember, like, egging a house in high school.
Man.
And then an hour later, the police show up at our door. And he's like, well, there's only one market in town that you bought the eggs from. I'm like, oh. And it's kind of funny, but it's like everybody knew everything. And it was a place.
Everybody knew who did it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You weren't hiding.
No, you try to, but like you kind of learn really quick. Like you you got to be friends with everybody.
It's a
And
community.
you got to make this work. And
Yeah.
and even when you do something wrong, you have to own it.
Yeah.
And then you can be a part of the good stuff. And it probably put me on this path where I was always enamored by the outskirts, the edges of the community, and I just love it. And so even today, if you ask me like, what are the unexplored places? I'd be like, oh yeah, I want to find those places in our community.
Right.
I just love it.
So Amity is a small community,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
So
Yeah.
everybody knew everybody.
Oh, yeah.
What was the population of Amity? Was this when you were younger, obviously? What was the population?
I'm not sure that we topped 1,000.
Okay, so maybe under 1,000.
Easily, right?
So everybody knew Grandma, everybody knew
Oh,
Aunt Betsy,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah.
When a young person walked in and bought like 4 dozen eggs.
Yeah. I've never been like the
They were a little
sharpest tool in the
suspicious.
shed, right? Like, oh yeah, I probably should have done
So
that.
when the cops went to that grocery store, the grocer literally said, "Oh yeah, it was Dwayne."
Or they called up the police and said, for some reason, Dwayne Hilty just bought 4 dozen eggs.
So on my resume would be, let me tell you the things not to do. like this has been like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that.
So
Yeah.
growing up in a small community like that, is that what really drove you because you knew everybody? And then as you get older, you mature, it's like, okay, I want to do something good now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So as I got older, I went to school at Western Oregon University. Just had this great experience. Again, small town. I went to Texas and did my seminary work that got called the church planting, and that took me to Soma Church, where I was planting there in Edgewater. And every single place along my path, I would find it was almost like doors would just open. And I didn't have to take them, but I was just curious. I was intrigued, right? I'm like, ooh, what's that door? And so even in West Salem, I kept thinking like we, moved to this small little place. It was known as the Flats. First week we moved into Edgewater, we found 3 different drug needles like in our front yard.
My goodness.
Wow.
And I remember thinking like, oh Lord, what did I get us into? And then I started to get to know the neighbors.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with them. Like I just love these people.
In Edgewater?
Yeah.
Were you already there? Like, did you move there?
Moved there to church plant to start this
right,
whole,
Soma.
yeah.
Okay.
So moved there to start that. And then that just put me on this path of always getting to know my neighbors and always getting to know the craziest people in the community, right? But they became friends. And
Yeah, that's cool.
So
And-
the door opened to move to Edgewater.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the ability to get involved with your neighbors and get to know them on a personal level even opens another door.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Edgewater and what you did in Edgewater.
Yeah. So it started, it's expanded. And so it really started off with the simplicity of, when I say it, just getting to know my neighbors.
Yeah.
And then we would find like there's a lot of kids everywhere and they didn't have a place to go.
Right.
And
Especially
so,
down in that area.
Oh yeah. And, because I grew up with this, when you didn't have anything to do, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I could see this, and then I wanted to like give these kids tips, like don't do that, right? But then we started talking as our church. We're like, well, wait a second, let's find a place. Let's just work together with others. Let's open up a gym.
Yeah.
Let these guys come in and play, and again, just each time we would get to know other people. And because we didn't have a lot, the starting church, we were pretty small, we didn't have our own space, we found a church that had a gymnasium. And they were so gracious. And they said,
Okay.
oh, come in and use it, anything you need to. So again, we're just playing with kids, getting to know them. And then over time, it just kept expanding and expanding. We started doing some stuff I did at Walker Middle School.
Yeah.
And so even like today,
Right.
I mean like all these different roles where my role at SLF, Salem Leadership Foundation, as this church's neighborhood center director,
Yeah.
I'm working with all these pastors and churches. But because I can't sit still,
Yeah.
I'm coaching basketball up at West High, coaching track at Walker Middle School. And so I still just love hanging out with kids and
Well,
their families.
I used to watch your social media page, and I'd see all these posts with a bunch of young boys, just gathering them in your home, in your living room,
Yeah.
doing devotions together. And then I had the privilege. My son actually started when we moved here. His first school in Salem was Walker Middle School. So he went to Walker Middle School. I got to coach 8th grade basketball. I'm not the best basketball player. I know it's hard to believe, but I had fun coaching my son in 8th grade and 9th grade.
Yeah.
And I remember running across you in Walker Middle School, and you got to really, really connect with the kids at Walker, didn't you?
Yeah.
And my daughter went to Kay Dizzle
right.
went to
Okay.
Walker Middle
Okay.
School too. So you were doing stuff with primarily the middle school kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're at West also.
Yeah, and partly as the age of my kids have, like, they're getting older, right? Like I have more high schoolers and one middle schooler, and so so you just kind of start finding these little pockets to be involved in. But it's been fun. It's just a lot of fun.
What a cool thing.
But it also keeps you involved with your kids at the
Absolutely.
same time.
Right,
so you
right.
went from Walker to
To high school.
up to the high school and getting more involved with
yeah,
the high school
yeah.
now. So
Very
are your
cool.
kids they're still in high school, right?
Most are in high school. We have one middle schooler, so they're all
One
kind of
middle
spread
school,
out. But the middle schooler, I mean, she is like she never does anything wrong, so she's great. So we're on a good track. Right? The high schoolers, no, they're all great
man.
kids. Yeah.
That's such a great opportunity.
So I get to meet with Dwayne every
Yes.
Thursday. He's
Every
part of our
Thursday.
pastoral group that I meet with at the round table. And so I get to share life with you a lot, and I know Salem Leadership Foundation is a big part of that. We've been involved with some of the Salem Leadership Foundation events and different things. But tell us, I mean, you're the CAN director now, which is churches as neighbors,
Neighborhood
right?
centers, yeah.
Neighborhood
Yep,
centers.
yep.
And so tell us a little bit more about Salem Leadership Foundation, what you're doing with them.
Yeah. So what's cool? My role, it's all about helping churches connect with the community. So right, and so I just love it. So SLF has been around for 26 years, and I like to tell people it's like a bridge building group, but not
Right.
like a real bridge. I do tell people that, and like no, it's like metaphorical, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Connecting to people.
Yeah, and so we always talk about connecting people of faith with people of goodwill, and we want to be the most honoring in our language, and so what that means a lot of times is just getting to know church, pastors, leaders on one side, and then everybody in the community. So it could be school folks, businesses, nonprofits, politicians, and really we just end up saying, hey, you should meet you, and like let's get you together. And a lot of times that creates such an energy that we really almost don't do anything else. Then they just start working together, and we're like, awesome. And
So
we just
could you
cheer 'em
almost
on.
say you stand on the outside looking in and you see a church and you see, kind of a goodwill
Yeah.
community like place or something, and you're like, oh, they would partner together perfectly.
Yes.
And then you kind of present the idea.
You make
to
the
them.
call and
Yeah.
you say, hey,
Yeah.
let's have coffee or
That's
something.
awesome.
Kind of like a matchmaker. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a joke, but it kind of is, right? We're like, ooh, you could connect with this school, and
Yeah.
you have a passion for reading buddies.
Right.
Ooh, awesome. You guys are going to love it. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun.
But not only that, but Salem Leadership Foundation is a partner in the sense where if you identify a potential CAN center,
Yes.
they may need funding to do different things in the community, and you partner with
Yes.
that. Tell
Yeah.
us about that.
Yeah. So it's called our CAN Centers grant, right? And so a church would say, ooh, we're ready to deep dive in a neighborhood and a community, and we just want to start. Again, we'll have them list out, but these 3 or 4 things, and we'll say, awesome, put a little budget to it. First year, we do 75%, church does 25. Year 2, it kind of goes 50-50. Year 3, the other way. And then we say, ooh, you've graduated, and then they start replicating that process with others and just mentoring other churches and pastors. And it's just fun to see. It's kind of a multiplication process.
So then the
Incredible.
church kind of becomes the mentor then.
Yeah.
For bringing something
Yes.
else in and
Yeah.
becoming another CAN center.
Yeah, if they can, right? Because it's almost like that process, they become the expert. And we always tell people, like, it's never our role to tell this church or pastor to do something. Right? That's in your heart, what God's given you.
yeah.
But once you find it, we want to just, pour gas on that and say, go for it. And if I need to get out of the way, we'll get out of the way, right? If we need to say, ooh, let's charge ahead, we'll do that. But it's a lot of fun, and each site just looks different.
Yeah.
Just like people,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's all
Yeah.
unique. And so it's just, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I can see that each one of those specific churches would look a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like each center probably, even though they're churches, they all kind of have their own personality. They all have their own thing about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different mission, different draws,
Right.
different
Their strengths and
ideas.
weaknesses are probably different.
Yeah, I like to say assignment, right?
Yeah,
like,
right. I like to call
one's
it
assignment.
assignment, too. That's a good way to
A
call it.
good friend of ours, Lanny, would say,
Yeah.
"Ooh, it's an
Right.
assignment," and I like that. It kind of fits.
So what are the different things that churches do? Like we'll have an outreach to youth, maybe a soccer program or
Yeah.
something like that, right? I remember that because
Yeah.
we used to be in North Salem
Yeah.
when we started our church, and I talked to you about that.
Yeah.
Then when we came here, it's like, well, what do we do in the downtown area? Plus there's not really any residents here.
Yeah.
So when Kristie talks about like from here to there, it's a little different. What are some of the ranges of what people do?
I'm a dreamer.
Okay.
so I like to say, I like to start off by saying, like, the sky's the limit. And I want churches to think big. What that means tangibly, it could be mentoring youth. after-school programs, reading buddies, coaching, mentoring at the school, maybe mentoring at a church facility. Could be clothing bank, food bank. During COVID, one of our can centers did like COVID relief packets. Really creative. They also did like counseling packets. So it really, I mean, man, I'm thinking in my mind, like,
so you
parents
also kind
night
of
out,
give
right?
them the freedom to dream up those different things that they could do, like the COVID packages.
Yeah. And I think like, I often treat it, I'm not a painter, but if I could paint, right? Like, I'd like to treat it like it's a blank canvas.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like, I like to say like, what colors do you have?
Yeah.
And some churches might say, man, I got like these 10 colors. Maybe a church says, well, I've only got a couple. So somebody's kind of drawing that out, like, ooh, you got more paint colors than you think.
Yeah, that's so true.
And then we start painting, right?
Cool.
And I also tell people, like, it's okay to make a mistake. Like, you're gonna learn, like, oh, maybe that one didn't work. That's okay. Like, we're kind of creating together.
Well, I want to thank you for everything you've done in the community,
Absolutely.
especially in the Edgewater district, because my kids went to school there, so we were directly impacted by your efforts and what you've done in the community. We want to thank you for that. But it doesn't stop with SLF. It doesn't stop with what you've done in Edgewater. You've done a lot of other things, from Rotary Club to community development stuff. I mean, what have you not done? It's been an incredible journey for you, I'm sure. And I don't think there's enough gratitude sometimes for guys like you. So from Straight Talk, we just want to thank you for everything you've done.
Thank
and
you.
You're a good friend too, and I love chatting with you on Thursdays, and we just appreciate that. So thank you for everything you've done. And I know you're going to stick around because we got to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about being shipwrecked. And sometimes people just feel like they're stuck. They're stuck on an island. They can't get off. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we want to invite you to discuss with us. So when we come back, we're going to talk about shipwreck. We're going to have more with Dwayne Hilty. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these messages.
Like, forgiveness came to mind.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, ooh, am I being a person that can forgive others? And sometimes I'm not. And it's just when I carry the bitterness, it's distant, right? But then it took me to this place I was thinking, I'm like, can I forgive myself? And that's the one that kind of cut when I'm like,
tough.
ooh.
Sometimes it's not always about others. It's about ourselves. It's about ourselves.
Something we've done in the past, and we can't forgive ourselves, right?
When I'm listening to a customer, my number one priority is to listen.
In every moment that I'm with this customer or this client, am I doing everything that I can to look out for their best interest at the end of the day?
Just make sure they have plenty of options and they're happy with the choice that they make. It doesn't matter what we want, everything that they want is what we want to make happen.
At the end of the day, we do a walkthrough, communicate with the customer, make sure they're completely happy with what they've spent their hard-earned money for.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time to talk, and we're going to continue our discussion called Shipwrecked. We started it last week, and we're really excited to dig in deeper this week. So
it's time to talk. Let's do it. All right, well, we've got Dwayne with us. He decided to stick around for our discussion. Dwayne, thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely.
And again, we just appreciate all of that stuff you do in the community. But we're on a discussion called Shipwrecked, and it's been a great conversation about just feeling stuck sometimes, you know? And I'm sure in the community, there's a lot of communities, families, they feel stuck.
Companies, churches,
whether it's financially stuck, like they're just maybe can't ever get past this financial burden or whatever, can't afford Christmas gifts or Thanksgiving dinners or whatever in the community, to also just some people are just stuck with like depression and this feeling of anxiety, or we'll talk a little bit about that, but we want to get started. So last week we talked about like what it feels like to be stuck, right?
Feeling frustrated, feeling lonely, feeling like you're a failure because you can't break through, you can't move forward. Or sometimes you just can't see the way to move forward. It's like I'm stuck. I don't know which way to go. I don't know how to break out of this. So
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
like, have you ever felt that way in life? I mean, you've done so much in the community, but it's funny because even some of the people you wouldn't even suspect, right? You look at their cars, you look at their houses, you look at their life,
or
you
their
look at
business, or
and you don't even know that internally they feel completely shipwrecked.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you known anybody like that?
No, I have. I've known a lot of people, and I've experienced it,
Yeah.
right? So like, I'm looking back at my life and like, ooh, the pain points
Yeah.
and the hurts, and then I'm like, oh, I've experienced it. And I felt alone, and I've been the person stuck on an island, and then and then I start to see others, and I don't want them stuck.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
it's
What do
right
you
there.
think makes them feel stuck or shipwrecked? Like, what causes us to feel that way?
Oh, good question. Very good question. I mean, we could break it down. Like, is it internal, external, all these things happening? Lately, I've been thinking through this idea. I think I mentioned to you earlier that, like, forgiveness came to mind.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, ooh, am I being a person that can forgive others? And sometimes I'm not. And it's just when I carry the bitterness, it's distant, right?
Right.
But then it took me to this place I was thinking, I'm like, can I forgive myself? And that's the one that kind of cut when I'm
That's
like,
tough.
ooh.
sometimes it's not always about others. It's
Yeah.
about ourselves.
Yeah.
It's about ourselves.
Yeah.
Something we've done in the past and we can't forgive ourselves, right? We've
Yeah.
hurt somebody, bad habits. We talked
Yeah.
about that last
Right.
week.
Yeah.
We get shipwrecked.
Experiences.
Yeah.
Things happen to us.
Yeah.
Sometimes completely out of our control.
Yeah.
Abusive situations. Another thing that just popped into my head is like, what's going on in society? What's going on in the world? Like, you were talking about COVID and the One Can Center that created COVID packs.
Yeah.
You know, they created a solution
They did.
for people that are stuck, a way to reach out and into desert island they're stuck on out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get shipwrecked when you just feel like a failure or you feel lonely. That kind of leads to like almost like a depression, right? And it's hard sometimes to get out of that.
Yep.
You could have the greatest job, you could have the greatest spouse,
Yep.
you could have people around you, and some reason there's a lot of people deal with depression and they feel shipwrecked.
Yep.
Like there's nothing you can do. We're on a deserted island and there's no way off. I mean, have you felt that way or no? Who have you dealt with in the community like that? I mean, not who, but like what kind of things do you see out there?
You know what? Lately, who I run into the most is parents.
Yeah.
And my wife and my wife is brilliant, and she just has such a good way of coming at things. But we'll sit and talk about it as for us, and we're like, man, we're still carrying guilt, and we're forgiven, right? And like, oh man, I let my kids down, and like you just carry the bags. And so lately, a lot of my coaching kind of places have taken me to like a lot of parents just carry guilt.
Yeah.
And again, it's not all, but we want to rewind and say, oh, I wish I could do that one different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, but I can't.
Yeah.
And then we move on, but it's hard to move on sometimes.
There's so many things. If I look back on my life, and I don't regret my life. I had a good life. I grew up in the church. My dad was my pastor.
Yeah.
I had a good life.
Yeah.
But there's some things that I did when I was younger that if I could redo that, I could save myself a lot of grief. I could save myself a lot of pain. I could save myself a lot of whoopings.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
But there's some things. And there are times in my life where I think about how it affected me today. How my past affects me today, and I have to consciously make a decision to not get stuck in that, right?
Yeah.
Because what we talked about last week is how oftentimes we feel shipwrecked because we get stuck in our past.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was our past like, and we think we're still there, and we're not, you know?
Right.
I use the example because I grew up, I was a teenager back in the early 80s. And so 80s was the best decade of you know, and so music, everything, right? But there were some things in the 80s that like some of us probably should have gave up instead of continuing to do. Not quite like the 60s or 50s.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? If I could redo and not live in the past, right? Because I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 15 anymore. And you got to get past the past.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think I can still play ball. And I'm like, no, that trophy was back in the 80s. that trophy does not apply today. You know what I'm saying?
Right. My hamstrings can't.
Gotten a little
keep up.
older. We don't run as well. We don't balance as well.
Oh, but the pain. I'm going back to the pain. It becomes part of the story.
It does.
Right? Because you said basketball. I'm like, oh, I remember when I tore my ACL when I was 32.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a second. It was hard, but I was able to kind of, it puts us on a different path if we can get there. Right? And I'm like, it's now part of my story. It has a place.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And if we learn to use the pain to grow through it, instead of just being stuck in the pain, being stuck in the torment for whatever reason the pain's there.
Yeah.
Instead of being stuck there, learning to recognize the pain for what it is and moving forward out of the pain instead of staying in a stagnant pool where we're just hurting constantly.
Yeah.
And you talked about forgiveness.
That's
part
huge.
of healing from the pain is forgiving others and forgiving ourselves.
Yeah.
Just getting past the situation, growing past it, growing to a new level.
I think one of the most important things we recognized in this teaching, especially when it comes as it relates to living in your past, are those that have been hurt in the past, whether it was abuse, maybe from their parents, maybe they were bullied as a kid. I mean, we see that nowadays even more than ever, and even in elementary school, right? Even in primary school, kids are being bullied. When they grow up with that, it creates this victim mentality. And so when you can't get past that, you become a grown adult still believing you're a victim, and you get stuck on this island, shipwrecked forever. And you miss a lot in life because you just feel like you're on this island, you'll never get off of it. You know, you probably see a lot of that in the schools that you serve.
And I wonder, I just wonder, most people don't want to be there, right? Like if you ask them, they would say, no, I don't want to stay here. And so I think they're looking for like a boat to get off, right? But it's scary. Like, is that boat gonna carry me or not? I mean, like you're right on, and I see a lot of people, and they're just stuck. They're scared, right? And because of the past. And so I always think too. I mean, I can't rush you onto that boat either. Like you have to want there, and maybe I just need to walk a while with you, and that just takes a lot of time.
That's a good
and trust
point.
building. So
When you're on that island, it reminds me of that movie. You remember Tom Hanks, and he said, Wilson! Because he was
Castaway.
Castaway,
Yeah.
And he's stuck there, and there's no way off, and he's got all of these little strategies, like if he sees a plane or if he sees a boat, you run, you start the fire,
Everything's
whatever.
prepared for once the plane or a boat comes by.
But there's a couple things about that movie that kind of applies to this teaching, because what we see is, one, a desperate attempt to find any kind of rescue, right? Any kind of rescue.
Right.
And sometimes the rescue, you don't want to, like if it's a pirate ship, you don't want to jump on that pirate ship.
Right.
Who knows what they're going to make you do.
Yeah.
But if it's the Coast Guard, then let's go get them. But then the second thing is that he finds comfort in a volleyball and calls him Wilson.
Yeah.
And how often do we have to find comfort in something else?
This little self-created friend.
We create our own
like a
comfort.
self-created comfort zone.
That happens when we're shipwrecked, right?
And we get stuck there easy. When we get comfortable with our own little, it's like we build a little wall around ourselves. We build a little, our own little protective cave. But the little wall we build around ourselves is what keeps us stuck. We think it's there to keep us safe, but it is what's causing us to be stuck there.
That's so true.
Right, until we can tear that down and tear through it, break through it. We're just stuck.
Did you
We're
see
stuck
that
there.
movie?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
So I'm an
So
only
good.
child, and so I'm like watching that. I'm like, man, I had imaginary friends, and but then it's lonely, right? And something you said is I think so on. Again, I have lived it and I have done it. I get hurt, and I want to take and protect that, right? I want to put something out to keep it out, and that's fair. Except that the minute I do that, I'm keeping out love, right? And I start blocking off the good things also. And
we trap ourselves.
And it's like, I just want to slowly, help people like slowly open it, a little bit at a time, and trust, but let love start coming in.
One brick at a time. They poke a little hole through there.
I think some of the dangers of being in that mentality of being shipwrecked and no way out is that desperation for someone to rescue.
Yeah.
So that's when
Right,
you see
right.
some women will get together with a guy because that's their rescue. Really, that shouldn't have ever happened.
Right.
And it
Yeah.
could happen the other way too, where guys
even
guys are
friendships.
feeling alone, so
Yep.
they just go
Yep.
after
Yeah.
any woman that could be their rescue.
Young
and maybe it
people.
wasn't meant to be. You
Young
know?
people
It
become
wasn't God.
friends with people, and loneliness likes to feed itself. So
Yeah.
you find another lonely person, and you
Yeah.
begin to hang out with them. And instead of helping better yourself or get you out of that, you just get deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can get ourselves in trouble when we look for the wrong stuff. They'll
Right.
even,
Yep.
you know, sometimes your rescue might be drugs, alcohol,
Yeah. Yeah.
pornography,
Right.
Right.
just different habits, right?
Right.
And that becomes that rescue boat. But really, it's not. It just puts you on another deserted
Right.
island,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it doesn't fix anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got to look for our rescue in Christ.
Right.
You know, and we're going to talk about that
Yeah.
in just a few minutes. I want to introduce another scripture,
Right.
but the best way to get off that island is to just go to the Word. Like
Yeah.
if you just go to the
Absolutely.
Word,
Yeah.
there's rescue boats after rescue
Yeah.
boats
Yeah.
after rescue
Right.
boats
Yeah.
right in the Word. You
Yeah.
know, let's stop looking elsewhere. When you feel shipwrecked, when you feel like you're on an
Right.
island that you can't get off, stop looking to other people.
Right.
Stop looking. And
Look
you know
up.
what?
Look
Yep.
to him.
Yeah.
It just made me
Yeah.
think. It just made me think. Sometimes we even fail by looking to man as good as they might be. And when I say man, I mean person, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you see a pastor or a teacher or a mentor, and it's okay to go to them for counsel or for comfort. But you can't look at them as your only rescue.
Right.
Like you
Yeah.
have to come to Christ.
Yeah.
You
Right.
have to come to the Word, right? Because
Absolutely.
sometimes
Absolutely.
people put too much stock in a person,
Right.
Right.
and they miss out on the real rescue, which is God.
Right.
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 Because
Right.
at some point, we all just know the person will let them down.
Right. That's true.
Even if they don't mean to, right?
Right.
Like it just will not be the bedrock that they need.
Right.
And so I
Right.
think you're right on. Like it
Yeah.
has
Right.
to keep looking up.
Well, when we come back, I want to dive into Jeremiah 29:11. Jeremiah
Great scripture.
29:11,
Great
because it really talks about God and His plan for you.
Right.
Good.
Right.
Good.
And so we're going to talk about that. So don't go away. We'll have more Straight Talk right after this with Dwayne Hilty, our guest, and Shipwrecked. Don't go away.
When I'm listening to a customer, my number one priority is to listen.
In every moment that I'm with this customer or this client, am I doing everything that I can to look out for their best interest at the end of the day?
Just make sure they have plenty of options and they're happy with the choice that they make. It doesn't matter what we want, everything that they want is what we want to make happen.
At the end of the day, we do a walkthrough, communicate with the customer, make sure they're completely happy with what they've spent their hard-earned money for.
Welcome back to the show where we're continuing our discussion, Shipwrecked. We've got our guest, Dwayne
Dwayne with
Hilty,
us.
here with us. This
Yep.
has been a great discussion
It has.
so far. Before the break, you were saying that you had a great scripture for us.
I do. I want to go into Jeremiah chapter 29:11 because I think it really brings home the reality of
Yeah.
who we are in Christ, right? So in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." And I think we need to
Such a
hold on
powerful
to
verse.
this. We really need to hold on to this scripture. If you believe the Bible is true, then
Yeah.
this scripture gets you off the island.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, God didn't create us to be stuck on a deserted island.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, He had plans for a future and a hope for us.
Right.
That's not stuck on a deserted island.
And if we go back to what we've talked about, all the way back to even
Yeah.
the first show, we feel shipwrecked because of the junk in our life.
Right.
We feel
Right.
like we're on a deserted island
Right.
because of the junk in our life.
Right.
It's the junk that puts us on the island itself.
Right.
Yeah.
And we really need to get off that island by remembering that this is not what God planned for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, we're all going to go through junk. You know, I believe that everyone in life will go through junk at some point in their life,
Right.
but God didn't create us to stay there.
Right.
Right.
You know, if
Right.
you're going through a trial, then go through it, but don't camp out
Don't
there.
camp
you know
out
what I
there.
mean?
Yeah.
We can't camp out there.
Yeah, yeah.
a good
No, I just got thinking. I'm going back to like when my knee surgery, right? I'm
Uh-huh.
like, it's hard. And this is the end, right? Can I believe that this isn't the final part of the
Right.
story, right? There's another chapter, and that's hard.
right.
But that's the trust point, I
Yeah.
think. That's the
Right.
goodness.
There's a lot of people that go through junk financially, and they grow up without a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Maybe they didn't have enough to even buy food. I mean, when I grew up, it was the yellow and black and white labels. It was all generics,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have to add on top of that the powdered milk and all of that
Yeah.
stuff
Right.
you
Yeah.
get
Right.
when you don't
Yeah.
have a lot of money. When I was a kid, we
Yeah.
got that stuff, right? There was some assistance there, but sometimes you get stuck in that mentality.
Right,
Yeah.
like a poverty mentality.
Yeah.
Instead of like thinking you maybe don't deserve better even, or can't achieve better. But
Yeah.
you do. You have everything in you to
Yeah.
achieve more than that. Like
Yeah.
you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. You have to put your mind to it, put your heart into it, and go for it.
And when I
you know?
think
Yeah.
about what you do in the community, and
Right.
especially with those kids in Edgewater,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
we have to be able to give them some hope, like that scripture says.
Right.
That listen, it might be tough right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It might be tough in the area that you're in right now with the life that you live, but it doesn't have to stay this way.
Right.
How do you
Right.
how do you give those kids some hope?
Man. Yeah. You made me think like a common phrase I will hear is "it's not fair."
Yeah.
Right?
That's
it's,
true.
It's not fair.
It's
hear that a
not
lot.
fair. And I think I used to disagree. I'm like, no, I can't. And then I think finally at some point, maybe I got cynical, but I kind of started looking at kids and families, and I said, you're right. It's not fair, and it was wrong. You know what I mean? We just started calling it
Right.
out like that wasn't
Right.
fair. You should have had more as a kid. I'm with you. But then we kind of came to this, so what do we want to do about it? I mean, do we want to
Yeah.
sit here, or do we want to move on?
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm looking back at my own life when I've had the moments it's not fair and I'm stuck. I think for me, it always comes to I need a hand.
Yeah.
Right? Like I need somebody to say, I'm gonna go with you and we got this. And yeah, it's not always pie in the sky. It's hard, but I'm thinking that's the most enjoyable part of being in the community is to grab a hand, sometimes physically though, and say, hey, this might get even worse.
Yeah.
But I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm here with you.
Right.
And if I gotta sit on the island for a
Yeah.
while, we're gonna sit here, but we are gonna swim. Right? And like and
You're
then-
literally
yeah.
teaching them and mentoring them on how to get off the island.
Yeah.
Right? You're literally
Yeah.
doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I
they're
think,
stuck.
I think a great tool, and you probably see this, is when you're stuck in the junk and you're stuck on the island,
Yeah.
you're looking at what you're stuck in. And when your vision's so focused and set on that junk and set on the unfairness,
That's all you see.
the unfair things, that's all you see. So you have an opportunity to give them a higher vision, give them a better vision, look up away from all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Look at something that's positive.
Yeah.
Look at the future you could have.
Yeah.
Like this is right there waiting
Right.
for you,
Yeah.
and you can achieve that.
Yeah.
But you got to stop looking at the junk. You got to look up and look at that,
Yeah.
not this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny is I don't try. This is not me bragging because I'm not. I've ran one marathon. It might be my first and last. I like.
You're one up on me.
I mean, I am not like some super athlete, but I remember running it, and I had friends tell me like, you are gonna hit mile 13, 14, and you're gonna be done, and they're right. Like, and I remember thinking, like, I started just thinking about how sore I am, how
Yeah.
it hurts. Poor me. And then
Yeah.
Focused on it, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can remember seeing a person on the side, and they said, "You got this. Do one more, one more chunk. You make it to that light pole.
Yeah.
That's all
Right.
you got to do. Make it to that one." And they almost like they broke it up into like digestible spots I could run to.
Right.
Right? I'm like, oh, I don't have to swim off the island all the way to the
Right.
States, but if I can go
Yeah.
100 yards.
Yeah.
Off, right? And so I don't know. So I've always kind of carried that. Like, wait a second,
That's good.
we can take a
That's
little
really
step
good.
together.
Yeah.
So
Well, God knows the plans He has for us. He actually knew us
Yeah.
before. The Bible says that He knew you before you were even born. When you were in your mother's womb, He knew you,
Yeah.
right? So He knows the plans. And His plans was not that we would be stuck on an island, shipwrecked with loneliness and depression and anger and
Right.
bitterness.
Yeah.
That was not His plan at all.
Right.
His
Yeah.
plan
Yeah.
was that we would live with life and life more abundantly.
Right.
He wanted the good things for us in life.
I like what you said earlier when we were interviewing you. We were talking about you, and you were saying that there were just doors that opened, there were opportunities that opened, and when you're talking about God's plans, the future He has for us, He's so good about giving you that door. There's that window of opportunity that suddenly opens up. And sometimes when we're focused on the junk, we miss the window. We miss the door that just opened up for us. Yeah. But that's how God works things out. It's like, oh, guess what, Dwayne? I have this for you, and I'm going to open this door of opportunity that all you have to do is walk through the door.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, that's how we just follow in that future. We follow in the plan that He already laid out for us.
Yeah. And I just believe this. He is so good that when I miss that door, because I do, right? Like,
that's right.
All the time.
We all do. We've all missed the door.
I don't think He looks at me and says, "Oh man, you idiot!" Right? I think He smiles and says, "All right, I have another one." And
I have a detour.
He's so great. He's so gracious, and it's like I might miss 20 doors, but I might take that one, and he does. He keeps putting them there. He doesn't stop, and I just firmly believe that.
You know, one thing Kevin used to say in a sermon was how when you miss your turn on your GPS, it says rerouting. Yes. It's like God's so good about rerouting us when we miss our door of opportunity.
You're still going to get there.
Right. Still going to get there.
You punch it in.
Right.
You miss a turn. It's not like life ends.
Right.
You just get rerouted.
Right.
And sometimes when you're on an island, you know, it's a reroute, not a dead end.
Right.
Like you're not stuck there.
Oh,
you're not going to be stuck there.
That's a good way to say it.
You got to get off that island eventually.
Yeah.
I had a picture in my mind of being stuck on an island, and let's say maybe you got dropped in the ocean, you're swimming, and you reach the beach. I mean, let's just make it really dramatic, right? And you're all your shorts got torn up.
You flop onto your back, barely out of the water.
Now you're on the island, right?
Love
you're
it.
stuck there. And the picture in my mind is setting up camp just like Tom Hanks did, you know, and he's sit there and he's looking where he came from, and that's all he can see. Yeah. But if you just explore a little bit, in my mind, I see on the backside of the island, there's like a whole
chain of islands?
A whole walkway that leads completely to a whole big...
Like the Florida Keys, they lead you to land.
But you never see it because all you're looking at is where you came from.
Right.
And you're just focused on that. You need to get off the island and know that God gave you stuff that's good. He gave you hope, and He gave you a future. And that mindset will get you off that island. Hey, we're already out of time, but man, it has been such a great time having you on the show, slapping you with tortillas and hearing about
spitting
your
all over you.
I'm happy to spit on you all anytime.
I really feel like I got off the island with that.
That
game.
was one of the funniest games we've done. That was hilarious.
But anyway, it's all the time we have for today, but we want to thank our guest, Dwayne Hilty. Come on, give it up for Dwayne Hilty. And a big thanks to our sponsor, Advantage Heating and Cooling. Yes. They've been keeping Salem and the Mid-Valley comfortable since 1992. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, everyone. Woo!
Let's go! Let's go! Oh man!
Oh my gosh! I thought I fixed all of that.
Oh, it's so
that should have
good.
said.
Apparently you did it. Awful.